Okay, so in today's topic, we're going to discuss about a character named Joshua. Before I tell you about the story, or before I ask you guys to read the story together with your family, I want you guys to think of a person, or maybe it could be a TV personality, or it could be someone you know, anyone else that actually did something brave. Yeah. So discuss it with family. Could be discussed with your brother, with your sister, everyone around you. Any person or anyone else that actually did something so brave. Okay. So quickly, I know you guys have discussed, and after we open church, I'll ask what you guys discussed so that you can share with me. So quickly, before we started the story, before I tell you to read from the Bible, like where we're going to read our story from, I want you guys to have this in mind. God had actually given Joshua a task. From Abraham, then came Joshua. Joshua was given a task to actually lead God's people to Canaan. Canaan was actually a promised land. So before he got to Canaan, Joshua was given a huge task. Okay, Joshua is giving a very huge task that you guys are going to read in the story. So can you guys quickly read from Joshua 5, from verses 13 going down, and then from Joshua 6, verses 1 to 21. So you start from Joshua 5, verses 13, going down to 15, then Joshua 6, verses 1 to 21. So after reading the story, you guys can actually notice that Joshua was given a huge task to invade the wall of Jericho. The most interesting part was that he wasn't given maybe the chariots. He didn't have maybe guns to go and invade this, but God had actually asked Joshua to actually invade the walls of Jericho by simply surrounding it, blowing trumpets. And so I'm thinking, if I was Joshua and God tells me this is how you're going to invade the walls of Jericho, this is how you're going to break the walls of Jericho, by simply surrounding it and blowing the trumpet. Surrounding 7 times every day. No, it was surrounded every day once, and then on the 7th day, you're going to surround it 7 times. I'll be like, God, how can that make the walls of Jericho fall? So that was really a huge task, yeah. But it took Joshua's faith, because he had so much faith in God. He had believed that whatever God asked him to do, it will happen. So Joshua actually surrounded the walls of Jericho as God had instructed, and the walls of Jericho were actually invaded because he listened to what God had actually said. So there are so many times, and maybe we are in situations that God asks us to do something so hard. It could be maybe our teachers, they say, no, this is a homework you have to do. It's a math problem. And then you're like, God, I can't do this, But maybe you're in that hard situation because if you put your faith in God, because God says we can do anything if we put much faith in God. So if Abraham was like if Joshua was like another guy, yeah, like any random guy, God says, okay, go right now. Go surround the walls of Jericho, and the walls of Jericho fall. If Josh had no faith, would be like, no, God, not me, Walls of Jericho can fall by just surrounding it, by blowing a trumpet, Maybe it will need a huge caterpillar to come and then destroy it, but it can be blown off by simply surrounding it and then blowing a trumpet, yeah? But because he's a big God, Josh had believed in a big God, that anything can happen because God is a big God. And this had actually happened. They all fall down, and he was able to invade the walls of Jericho on their way to Canaan. So I want to ask you guys a few questions from the story that you've read you've discussed with your parents or your brothers and sisters. The first question I want to ask is, did they expect Joshua to win this battle by just blowing trumpets and shouting? Did they expect Joshua to win the battle by simply? So I'm thinking Joshua led these armies like, okay guys, this is how we're going to surround the walls of Jericho. Yeah, but did they really expect Joshua doing this by simply surrounding and blowing the trumpets? Your answer is good as mine. No. Even if Joshua, I was one of the Joshua's armies, and then Joshua tells me, "Okay, let's go, guys. We're going to invade the walls of Jericho. But the way we're going to invade it, the way we're going to break it off, is by simply surrounding it and blowing the trumpets." I'll be like, "No, Joshua, not me. That's so absurd. That can happen." But I'm thinking Joshua had the armies that actually believed in God. Also, they believed in him so much that they were able to surround the walls of Jericho, and the walls fall down because God had decided to do so. So another question quickly, what was so special about Joshua? What was so special about Joshua? Was there anything special about Joshua? First said, if it was maybe me, Mr. Blessings, God says, Mr. Blessings, I want you to lead these guys to invade the walls of Jericho. It would take me to be so very brave to come out and say, okay, God, I'll take the task. I have to be so brave. I have to have put so much faith in God to be that, okay, this will happen. So how was Joshua so special? Joshua was so brave that despite the task that was ahead of him, he believed that God would actually accomplish the task that was ahead of him. Yeah. So how special is Joshua? Joshua was so brave that he trusted God that whatever the task was ahead of him, it will be done because God was so big than the task. Okay, so I want you to think of, first in today's activities, I want you to draw a picture of a situation that's so hard for you to do. So draw a picture of any situation that's so hard for you to do. It could be maybe you've never been on a bicycle before, yeah? So you could actually draw a picture of you trying to ride on a bicycle if you've never been on a bicycle before. And put it on your wall. It could be in your room. After you draw the picture, put it on your wall, and then you can write words on it, like, okay, I trust in God that God will actually make me be able to ride this bicycle. So any situation that's so hard for you, that needs you to be so brave, okay? So draw a picture of you in a situation that's so hard to do, that needs you to be so brave. So if you after drawing that picture, sit on your wall and say a prayer. You can write a prayer on it that maybe, God, I want you to help me to accomplish this task. Okay, God, I want you to accomplish. Could be another task of writing a bicycle, maybe solving your maths program. You can write it on the picture and stick it on your wall. So that will be on today's activity. Thank you.